Hi, I'm Angela from Denver Public Library's ideaLABs. Today we're going to create some decorative miniature fairy gardens. These fairy gardens use fake moss and sculpted items to make a natural scene for a tiny fairy or gnome. This project is a fun way to use your creativity. If you want to show off what you made, tag us on social media with ideaLAB Makes. You can also tag Denver Public Library on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. We also have a Facebook group you can join to share your projects or meet other makers. We'd love to see what you create. To follow along with this video, you will need a clear, wide-mouthed, short jar. Make sure the opening is big enough to place your decorations through. If it's too tall, it will be harder to put the decorations in. You also need a piece of cardboard as wide as the jar, and some moss fabric or moss pieces for the bottom of the jar. To sculpt decorations for inside the jar, use some air-dry clay. You can also have fun brainstorming different things to add to your scene. Found objects like buttons, mini figurines, or items from nature make great accessories to use in your garden. To decorate the inside or outside of the jar, you can use stickers or materials like craft foam. You can also use paints or markers to decorate your sculptures once they dry. To attach the decorations, you'll need some craft glue or a hot glue gun. Some tools you'll need are a pair of scissors and some optional sculpting tools. A pair of tweezers can also help you place small objects in your project. Fairy gardens are all about using your imagination. Spend some time thinking about what kind of environment you want to create. There's not a lot of room inside a jar, so planning is important so you don't make something too big or run out of space. Let's start by making a base for the garden. Use the smallest part of your jar to trace a circle onto some cardboard. For my jar, the top is narrower, so I'll trace that. To make it fit inside the jar, cut it a little smaller than the traced circle, about 1/4 inch should be enough. Test it out inside the jar and adjust as needed. To make the base look more natural, I'm going to glue the cardboard to some moss fabric. You can be creative and use other items like gravel or specialty fabrics to make the ground in your garden. Let the glue dry and trim the edges. If your moss is loose and shedding pieces, you can water down some glue and give it a light coat to seal it. Using clay is a great way to make custom pieces for your garden. Before sculpting, I'm going to protect my work surface with a crafting mat and clean up the area. Let's make some plants to add to the garden. Mushrooms are a classic fairy garden accessory and easy to make with some clay. To make the cap, roll a ball of clay and gently push one side with your finger to make a dome shape. You can also use a pencil eraser and your fingers to help shape it. To make the stem, roll a log of clay and press it into the cap to attach it. Try and make a wide base so the mushroom can stand up on its own in the jar. You can use your fingers or a tool to help blend the two pieces of clay together. You can also use flattened balls of clay to make spots and add some texture under the cap. After sculpting, let the clay dry according to the package directions. You can then decorate with markers or paint to customize. Another plant that can be fun in a fairy garden is a cactus. Roll a large log and 2 small logs. The larger piece will make the trunk. Attach the 2 smaller pieces to each side and bend them to make arms. Press the bottom against the table to flatten it. Let it dry and then decorate. You can also use this method to make a piece of coral for an underwater scene by adding more arms. You can experiment with making flowers, trees, and other plants to put in your garden. Now let's make some creatures that can live in the garden. To make a rabbit, start by rolling a large, medium, and 2 small balls of clay. Use the large ball to make the body and press into a teardrop shape. The pointed end will be the front paws. Press the bottom flat. Then attach the medium-sized ball to make the head. You can use a tool to help you combine the 2 pieces. Add some ears by attaching the small balls of clay to the head and gently pinching them to make a long shape. You can also make a tail with another ball of clay and details like eyes. Decorate with markers or paints to add even more detail after the clay dries. Another common garden visitor is a snail. To make the snail's shell, roll out a piece of clay to make a snake shape with one end a little wider than the other. Roll a second snake shape to make the snail's body. Starting at the smaller end, coil the first snake to make a shell. Attach the shell to the second snake and adjust the shape as needed. I'm pressing the bottom flat so it stands up easier and making the tail slightly smaller. Bend the other side of the clay to shape the head. You can also add some antennae or eyes with small pieces of clay. Add some fun colors after the clay dries. What other animals can you think of to put in your garden? The last type of sculpture we can try is furniture. Fairy doors are often seen outside on trees, but we can make a tiny one for our jar. To shape the door, roll out a ball of clay and press it flat. Then make the bottom of the door by pressing one side against the table. You can also shape the door with tools. To make the door frame, roll out a long, thin snake of clay and attach it around the rounded edge of the door shape. You can also add some texture with the tool and roll out a small ball of clay to make a doorknob. After the clay dries, you can add even more detail with markers or paints. The last example sculpture we can try uses a found object to make some furniture. We can use a button as the top of a tiny table for our garden and some clay for legs. Make 3 or 4 short logs to create the table legs and press the ends flat. Let the clay dry and decorate it before attaching to the button. You can also use this method to make chairs out of smaller buttons to set around the table. There are lots of other crafty ways to create furniture. What combinations can you think of? After all your sculptures are decorated, it's time to put them in the garden. Use some glue to attach them around the moss base. To help keep the pieces from shifting while the glue dries, you can use a small piece of cardboard or tape to hold them in place. If using a hot glue gun, this process can go pretty quickly. If attaching a lot of decorations, this could take a while, so be patient and enjoy the creative process. You can also decorate the inside or outside of the jar with stickers, cut foam shapes, or other materials. After the glue is dry, place a decorated base into the jar. For a different style, you can place the jar over your scene. To hold everything together, you can glue the base and jar to a piece of cardboard and trim to fit. Here are some creative fairy gardens made by friends of the ideaLAB. Thanks for crafting with me today. I hope you enjoyed creating your own fairy garden and are inspired to try more sculpture projects. If you want to learn more about fairy gardens and fairy houses, check out some of the resources linked in the description of this video. There are more ideas for miniatures and sculpture, and some books from the Denver Public Library catalog.